as March 3rd, almost 50% of the soybean crop was harvested in Brazil. Brazil's 23-24 soybean crop is expected to be around 5.5 billion bushels, down 4% compared to last season. These numbers are from the National Supply Company.
That's CONAB.
The CONAB, yes. In fact, the hot and dry weather in key producing areas in Brazil has reduced the yield potential in the last months, especially in Mato Grosso, in the central west of Brazil. CONAB and private consultancies have slashed their estimates several times since late last year. In November, for example, the forecasts were close to 6 billion bushels, a record, but now is around 5.5 billion bushels. Brazilian farmers have been facing dry and hot weather since the beginning of the crop season, like I said, especially in Mato Grosso. So far, in Mato Grosso, 85% of the soybean crop has been harvested, and 90% of the second crop corn has been planted in the ideal window despite the weather issues to the El Nino. But, for example, in my state of Rio Grande do Sul, my home state, the southernmost state in Brazil, is expecting a record soybean crop after 2 years of low yields caused by La Nina. So, and in Mato Grosso, like I said, soybean production is expected to drop by 15% due to dry weather and historical high temperatures. But we can say that even with this reduction in Mato Grosso production, Brazil will still produce a lot of soybeans this year. It should be the second best harvest in history, and the main reason for that is the increase in planted area over the last years.
And that planted area is just increasing year after year after year. Is there anything that would ever stop that?
That's a good question. So this year, for example, Brazilian soybean planted area reached 112 million acres. The recent agricultural expansion in Brazil happened mainly in the Brazilian savanna, in the center-west and northeast states. Most of the new area came from converting degraded pasture into cropland. That's different than deforestation. There is a recent study from Embrapa, the Brazilian Research Corporation, that shows that Brazil has a potential to converting around 28 million hectares of new areas in the next decade. That means
That's a little over 60 million acres there.
Exactly. That means around 35% increase compared to the current planted area in Brazil. Of course, there are a lot of factors at play as international markets. We know that Brazil has a lot of issues regarding infrastructure, but in terms of the new land, Embrapa says that there is a potential to open, to convert from pasture land, for degraded pasture, into cropland, at least more than 50 million acres in the next decade. So I cannot say that Brazil will stop soon.
Now, are Brazilian farmers making any money? Is their production costs and the lower prices, are they profitable?
Depend the region, but now they are facing a tough time because we know that the prices of soybeans is going down compared to the last years. The cost production decreased a little bit last year in this current crop season compared to the last crop season. For sure, especially in Mato Grosso, in these areas that when they are facing reduction in yields, farmers, I mean, soybeans is better than corn in terms of their revenue at this time. But of course, you cannot compare the revenues from this year with last year or 2 or 3 years ago.
In the U.S., farmers are going to plant generally what they have. It's going to be some pretty scrub land and a low price if they're not going to plant. But what about Brazilian farmers? Would they not expand anymore, and would they not plant anymore if there's not profitability in soybeans?
That's a tough question because farmers are farmers. So, I mean, sometimes I would say, for example, corn. When you look the corn this year, Brazilian farmers they reduce around 8% of its planted area because soybeans supposed were more competitive than corn. But now we are finishing the harvest season in Brazil. For soybeans, they will start to think about the soybeans just in the spring in Brazil. The spring in Brazil is in September and October. Maybe they will keep the same area, but would not say that they will reduce the area. Maybe they will keep the same area. Yeah, but I mean, we are talking now, we are in March, many things going on until, and actually, if they plant in April, they will just harvest in March 2025. We don't know if until there we will have a new international conflict or something that will put the soybean prices up again.
Okay. Argentina has come out of last year's drought. They've got a pretty good size crop that's going to be coming on, and so I'm assuming that Brazilian farmers probably will be upset a little bit with the Argentines because of their good large crop and lower prices.
Yeah, so Argentina is very close to having a full harvest after 3 years of serious weather problems caused by La Nina. Argentina farmers have increased their soybean planted area by 22% compared to the last year. The last numbers from Buenos Aires Grain Exchange forecast is that Argentinian soybean production for this crop season will be around 1.9 billion bushels, more than double the previous crop. The conditions of the field so far are excellent in the provinces of Córdoba, Santa Fe, Entre Rios, the main agriculture areas in Argentina. It's important to remember that the soybean harvest in Argentina will start now in April. The peak of the harvest season in Argentina is April because they normally plant later than other regions in Brazil.
So things are going to be a challenge really everywhere then.
Yeah, in summary, South America as a whole should have a larger production compared to last year. Better results in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay will offset the production decline in Brazil. Um, while optimists surround South America crop prospects, the bearish outlook for soybean markets keeps due to the rise in stocks in the United States and is lower Chinese demand for animal feed. But I can say that more than ever, we can say that South America is shaping global agriculture markets with their production of key crops, especially soybeans and corn.